Remember, you guys want to be as close to this microphone, right? Our goal is to play into the microphone. Hello, everybody. Let's see if I'm logging in here properly. Theoretically, now everybody should be able to join us. Audio input is correct. Video input is unfortunately my ugly face.
So they just took out a new deal out of her house, huh?
All right.
Oh,
Then,
she's going back today.
Is she? Oh, wow.
let's go
Well,
post this over
yeah,
on the
that's why
website
he's
real
not
quick.
here in trouble.
Oh, I'm running in late. Linda is in sound and video.
Yeah, no, she's talking.
And then I'll
Let me
be
go
back.
post this.
But she'll be back.
I'll be back the next.
Because I talked to Melanie and she passed it on.
Oh, yeah, I'll be back for that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be back on Monday. I'm leaving.
I mean, we went to 100.
I thought I was going to die yesterday.
All right, sorry guys, we're going to be starting about 6 minutes late. So, hopefully you guys you were able to print out your Barre-Chord stuff. That's yeah, or at least put it on your iPad. So that's the stuff I want to talk about first.
Yep, got it.
Beautiful. Let me go get it for me too. How about that? All right, we'll give everybody just a minute or two to get logged in here. I've got the room open, and theoretically the link is working.
This the first stuff that's on the stuff that's on the table. The stuff that's on the table.
Hello.
Yeah, they are. What
I
happened to that?
People are getting into the room. That's exciting. Right.
have mine.
This is here.
I didn't see it.
Here.
I picked up all this.
Yeah.
Isn't this what?
So all that stuff is from the weeks past. So you won't need any of that except on top of spaghetti. So that's just.
Oh, I have all that.
Yeah. So you probably have everything you need. None of this is. The only thing that you'll want to have is Barre-Chord worksheet, and even if you don't, you'll be fine.
I don't have that.
Okay. Face ID again.
Let me see. Oh, she.
There we go. All right. Let me get the instrument here.
Yeah, I think you're right. That makes sense. No, I've got my image. But I've got it from when we did it. Got it from when we did it.
Logged in. Page.
I don't know where it's supposed to be. Oh, that is where it's supposed to
Severtunes.
Oh, look, it's just that.
Barre-Chords.
Measures 3 and 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
2, 3, and 4.
that, then I put back.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I apologize. We had a heck of a time getting logged in here, and so I think we're all set now. This looks like it's opening up to the correct spot, and we're all good. Look at all these people. 17 people online.
How many?
17.
Wow.
Nice. Now we have 73 in the room here, so so you guys should start coming in because seriously, it's way more fun here than it is at your house. Yay! Those are people way in the back. You can hear them. Let's see. Just a report. Linda's here from Vancouver. Sandy's in from Michigan. Jerry's in from up the street. Carol's in from Western Colorado. Janice is in from Sydney, Australia, right?
Wow.
She wins. She always wins for the person farthest away. Kat is in from Texas. Hey, Kat. Vic is here from Eugene, Oregon. Philip's here from local. Rita is in from Chicago. Maria, I always forget where you're from. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Christine is in from Wheat Ridge. I'm looking forward to tonight's lesson on arranging music. Yeah, so several slight updates. The arranging music class was going to be July 4th, and I was going to email it to you, and I have it essentially done, but I haven't emailed it to you yet. And so tonight we're going to work on bar chords, and you will be getting a whole packet on arranging music, taking a piece of music from nothing and turning it into a full-blown solo piece of music. Was it last summer, I think we did, or a while back, we did a long series of on lead sheets and how to turn lead sheets into music, and that was received pretty positively by a lot of people. And so I will get that to you. I apologize. It is just I started it and then it got turned into kind of went down the rabbit hole with all sorts of little graphics and things. And so so Philip, your point is I'm looking forward to doing the very thing we're not going to do tonight. However, what we are going to do tonight is equally important, and so we want to start with a couple of thoughts. By the way, we have lots more people wandering in. Patricia's here. Somebody, Pele gave me this shirt, right? So yeah.
That's
So
nice.
so this is how you get on my good side, you guys. Is to bring me back Hawaiian shirts that are. Now I have gotten a few shirts over the years that are not so cool. So be thoughtful, right? That when you're out shopping for me. Well, Marie is also in Sydney. That's right. And Mary I saw also logged in from Sydney. So good to see all you guys. Okay, so what's the first thing you do when you pick up your ukulele? Tune it. Okay, that shouldn't be that's from day one of ukulele class, right? You have one of these, right? Okay, the one that came with your ukulele isn't good enough. Okay, so when the battery goes out on it or it breaks, if it's got an orange screen or a green screen, you go ahead and just put that in the trash and get a snark. Okay.
You gave me the one that came with my ukulele.
I gave you one of these, right? So these are so much better. They honestly should start giving me a fee for selling these things. I started way before these things, and the day these came out, I'm telling everybody that with the HD screen, super great computer, all instruments, chromatic, they're amazing. So make sure you own one of these, and you've also put one on your phone, right? Why do you have one on your phone?
Guitar tuner.
Guitar tuner, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Right,
Never
right.
use it.
Never use it probably until you have to use it, right?
Oh.
You did not leave your house without this. If you leave your house without this, you turn around and you go back, right? That's how important these stupid things have become. But there will come a day when you thought this was in the case and it's not, because it's stuck on some it's on it's like today, for example, Diane said. So you gotta have one on. You never forget your phone, but you gotta download one on there. The one I use is called G Strings. I thought that was funny, right? And so, all right. So you sit down. You sit down, right? That's the hard part of playing ukulele is sitting down, putting your music up on the stand, getting your ukulele out. You're tuned up. What's the next thing you're supposed to do according to Gary? The bar chord exercise. So let's pull that up now, and it's called Make a Better Bar. Okay. Now, if I'm on ukulele, I'm going to start on 0, right? Okay, because that's a C6. But if I'm hanging out with everybody together in one room, and I know there are baritone players. Where do baritone players start?
5.
On 5. So if you have a baritone, you start on 5. You're going to go down. When do you stop?
12.
When you get to 12. Once you get to 12, then what do you do? Go back to what? Okay, and then you'll end up playing up to 5 again. Okay, so when you were playing together and you're on baritone, do it on 5. When you're at home, obviously, you can start on 0, run it to 12, and come back, right? But the idea here is, those of you who've been around a while, are bar chords part of what you do?
Yes.
Yes. When you first started, did you kind of wish they weren't going to be a part of what you do?
Yes.
Right? Because of which chord?
B flat.
B flat, okay? B flat is legendary in our business. In guitar, it's F, right? It's the same shape. People quit guitar because of F, and people quit ukulele because B flat is hard. it turns out B flat, unfortunately, is one of the hardest bar chords there is, because it's right up here next to the neck, right? This is the place you're most likely to get that terrible sound, right? And so the other thing I teach you about bar chords is that sound is fine, right? It's fine. Tell yourself it's fine. One of these days, it'll go away, right? One of these days. But until then, that's what you're playing, okay? And think of it as your own unique style, right? Eddie Van Halen had a style. Carlos Santana has a style. You have this style right now, okay? It's who you are. You might be able to market it if you're on Instagram and TikTok. Let's talk about your bar. Let's pretend it sounds like this. What are your choices to fix this? Give me one choice.
Move your finger closer to the floor.
Move your finger closer up to the where the fret is. Okay. Now that can sometimes you can get it too far, and then you'll be on top of the fret, and you get that dead sound, right? But yeah, if you have a choice of playing way in the back or more up toward the fret, you want to be more up toward the fret. A couple of ways to do that. You can either just slide it up a little closer. You can also set it on top of the fret and roll it back. Okay, that's actually a thing that I do when I have. Well, like if I have a metal string guitar, I do that a lot, right? Because I get a lot more leverage that way. You can also start in the back of the fret and roll it forward. For some people, that actually works pretty good. Yeah, for some people. I haven't seen a ton of people, but I have had a couple of students where that actually worked. A lot of it's going to depend on your knuckle, right? Because especially as we age, our knuckles start getting kind of funky looking, right? And so that's a real problem. Is where's my knuckle going to be in all this project? So the next thing, in addition to rolling it forward or rolling it back, moving it forward, making sure you're uptight against there. The other thing I think is important is be mindful. You can push it up higher or pull it down a little bit, right? And sometimes if the top string's not going to be important, like it is in B flat, the B flat, you have a different string running your top string. You don't even necessarily need to put a full bar on. I teach you guys to use a full bar all of the time because we're going to go through the class tonight where you have to have your full bar on, right, for almost everything. So it's easiest just, I'm going to use a full bar for everything. But there are plenty of times when a partial bar is going to make some sense, okay? Okay, Elizabeth is giving me another option. Okay, another thing is if your chord allows it, you can take this middle finger, and smash down your bar. Okay. So you've got your bar on, smashing it down, and then Kari points out quietly in the background, where's your thumb? Where is your thumb, people?
I'm the middle finger.
Okay, if there's one thing that you should know, George Clooney eats apples, and I don't see your thumb, right? It's some sort of psycho thing that I have. But here's where my thumb is. Okay, let me see if I can get it in the thing. It's right behind where my middle finger is going to go. Okay, now some people will put it behind the index finger. That's acceptable. Where we don't want it is, way off over someplace weird, putting it up here. I've seen people, I actually had a little kid do this where he dropped it underneath there, which was really cool. He was playing it like this. He was doing fine, yeah, it sounded great. And then I'm like, you can't do that. I will get arrested if you do that. And so be mindful that you have a lot of choices, especially in the beginning, right? Those of you guys who've been playing a long time, do you ever take your middle finger and press down the bar? Yeah. No, you don't anymore? Okay. I still do plenty, right? If you can. The problem is, the more complex chords you start playing, the more you're going to need those fingers for other stuff, right? But at least in the beginning, don't feel shy about it. In fact, I watch Govar Verdanyan is this wonderful Peabody trained guitarist, and she gives these great guitar lessons. And she had a long talk about when she first started doing this, and she says real quietly, I still do it sometimes, right? Here's a top level person, right? So this is okay. Just make sure your thumb is doing that. You'll know when you're doing things well because the tone will just be there, right? And if it's not there, give it a little bit of thought. Now, that's your bar. Okay, we're going to be using that so much tonight. By the time you get out of here, you're going to be like, I don't think I want to play ukulele anymore. So we've got this bar. So now on your paper here, and if you don't have the paper, you don't really need it, right? We're going to start with 0. Think of 0 as a bar, right? The bar is actually your nut, but think of it as a bar. On your right hand, which we talked about all last week, we have thumb, which is P, index, which is I, M, which is middle, right, medicio, and then A, which is your ring finger, okay? And so for our daily warm-up, thumb, index, middle, ring. Now what's cool about high G ukulele is you have this sound first, bing, which is a high note, and then it's followed by dum, dum, dum. So you get a melody by playing this little activity. If you're on baritone or low G ukulele, it's bum, 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 bum. So it's not quite the same cool melody you get, okay? So what I want to do is go down here. We're going to go down to 12. If you're on baritone, you're going to start on 5, go to 12, and then jump back to 1 after 12, okay? So start with 0 or C6. The other thing I'd like you to do as we go up here, tell me what 6th chord you're playing. So in other words, C6, C sharp 6, D6, D sharp 6, E6, F6, and so on, okay? This will double check if you know the order of the keys on the piano. Those of you who've been around music for a while, is the order of the keys on a piano kind of important to what you do? Yes, is the correct answer. Everybody's busy. They're all of a sudden freaking out. Yes, you have to. There's one thing in music you have to memorize. It's piano arrangement of keys. You have to memorize. There's just no getting around it. Okay. So from the top, here we go. Nice and slow, steady, pretty, beautiful tones are more important than fast. Right? 1, 2, ready, play. C, C sharp. D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, A6, A sharp, B, and C. And now I want you to stop here. Okay, so now we just played. Notice the first chord you played is a C6 and the last chord you played is a C6. It's not unimportant that you remember whatever you play in open position is repeated at the 12th fret. Okay, so your ukulele starts over on the 12th fret. Everything that you've memorized down here on the first 1, 2, and 3 frets is also true up here beyond the 12th fret. Now, some of you have a soprano ukulele that doesn't have extra frets down here. They end at 12. You have to have 12. In fact, lutes used to only go to 8, right? Because after that, they were like, you can go back and start a new set. All right, now, when you come back, ring, middle, index, thumb. Okay, and again, if you're on high G ukulele, you get a melody, and if you're on low G or baritone, you just get bum, 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 bum. Okay, so let's go back down. This is a little bit harder arpeggio, right? Because it's backwards. It feels backwards anyway. Ring, middle, index, thumb. Okay, let's give it a try. From 12, and if you're on baritone, you're on 5 again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. B6, B flat 6, A, B flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, and C. Okay. How many played a perfect, no dead sounds? right, okay. Okay, no, but it happens. I've had times when I've managed to get it, pull it off, but not very often, right? And I think it's really important that you, in the beginning at least, trying to get them clean. Later on, once you're good at this, it's when you don't get a clean sound, what were you doing, right? So what were you getting in a hurry to move your finger before you were supposed to? Were you playing it too fast and there was just no hope of getting either the top string or the bottom string to be clean? Is your knuckle in the wrong spot? Do you need to move it up or down a little bit? Do you need to start thinking about rolling your bar forward or backward? So try to problem solve around when you have a consistent problem. I pretty consistently miss the top string on the first fret. I'm pretty consistent about missing that. Partly because I'm lazy, right? I'm just not pressing hard enough. And partly, especially come back, I'm like, okay, I'm done, right? And I pull it off too fast. So be mindful that I don't give out very many exercises, but this one exercise I think will make everything much easier and much better for you down the road. Why do we need bar chords? Do anybody have any thoughts on that?
Because we're ukulele players and we don't use a capo.
Because we're ukulele players and we don't use a capo.
So we have to play everything.
That's
When
not the
guitar
that's
goes,
not the
"Oh,
answer
we're
I'm
gonna
looking
capo
for, but
on three." You're like,
it's actually
no,
true.
no.
Why do you use why do you use a capo, by the way?
Change keys?
To change the keys,
Yeah.
right? So instead of playing in C, for example, you put a capo on the second fret, and now you are playing in D, right? Right? And so it makes life a little easier if you don't really want to learn how to play your instrument, right? So you'll meet a lot of really great guitar players who use capos,
And then you ask them to play an E flat.
and you ask to play a named chord they don't know because they only play in easy keys with a capo, and they're really usually almost always singers, right? And they're using a capo to zone in on their own voice. There's nothing in the world wrong with that. In fact, it's super, super smart. But don't be confused. When you watch a classical guitar player, you're not going to see a capo. It won't happen because, one, they're not singing, and two, they know how to play their bar chords, right? And frankly, they manage to work around where they hardly ever have to play a bar chord anyway, right? So it's one of those things where there is a reason to have a capo if you're a singer and you don't really want to learn to play the ukulele. Now, I don't let my singers get away with that. They come in down to the studio. They have to not use bar chords, or they're not allowed to use a capo, so they have to learn bar chords. And that's what we're going to do tonight, okay? So you're going to figure out how to do this. It's not going to take but a jiffy to go through every chord. There's going to be 10 shapes, every major, every minor, every seventh, and all the diminished chords we're going to cover tonight, okay? So I follow a guy on Twitter, and every day he puts out the weird chord of the day, right? There are all these ridiculous chords. You don't really need to know those, you guys. Just in case you were thinking, I got to know all these, but you don't need to know those. You got to know all your majors, you got to know all your minors, you got to know all your sevenths, and you got to know your diminished chords. That's it. That's all you have to know. And then everything else you'll look up. Yes, ma'am.
So when I started 5, this was eye-opening because when she got up to a certain point, she went back to the low stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't do that. I try to go up here.
you keep going up.
Yeah, but I do it this way.
Right, okay, okay,
Otherwise, there's no way.
Yep.
okay.
And
So,
besides, I'm really not so great at doing those.
yeah, the bar chords down here are a little,
A little hard.
right, little hard, right? So Elizabeth is saying, hey, I'm on baritone, I got to 12. I purposely chose not to listen to Gary, which is common. And she did a 4-finger bar like this. Is that okay, you think? What are our thoughts on that?
Well, she and Jake can do that.
She and Jake can do that, right?
Jake
Right?
plays all the way up.
Yeah. Aldrine plays that note, right? Now, I have always argued that
I
this
don't
is
even know what that note
this
is.
note is not a note that we need to hear, right? And that is my feeling on it pretty strongly. But the advanced players, they all do that. I say that it was actually a pretty cool problem-solving thing for Elizabeth. Right? That's a pretty good problem-solving thing. I recommended you get to 12, go back to 1, and not be crazy. But I think it's definitely another choice you can make about hey, I'm going to play up here on fret 17. Okay, it's a choice you make. Now I don't personally make that choice because I don't think those sound very good, but you could do that, right? So, okay. So let's talk about the legendary ukulele Barre-Chord finder. I built this up in, well, the latest iteration is from 2020. I know we had this many years prior to this. This thing will solve all of your problems. The main reason, learning to play up the neck, the main reason we do it is because you're playing melodically often. Okay, if you're a singer, you really don't need to go up the neck because you're going to play all your open chords down here. But if you're an instrumentalist, you have to go up the neck because in book 1 of the ukulele program, all of those melodies sort of cooperate, right? They all hang around down here. A few of them go up to 7 or 8, but they mostly are hanging out down here. But that's where it ends. Once you get to book 2 and you start getting into more complex music, your low notes and your high notes are going to be all over the place. And so in order to reach them, okay, a B flat with that D underneath it, okay, you can't do B flat and reach way up here very conveniently, and it'll get worse, right, where you often have a melody note on 7 or 8 or 10. And so you've got to know the chords nearby to support it. And that's what the legendary ukulele Barre-Chord finder thing says. Should you say ukulele or should you say ukulele?
Ukulele.
Okay, it's controversial,
Or
isn't it?
mainlanders.
So even in Hawaii they say ukulele, but there are people out there, particularly academics, who'd like to shame you into using the phrase ukulele. I say ukulele because it's hilarious to say it that way, and and then you get to use an ukulele, because otherwise it's a ukulele, right? So I like using an ukulele, and it's not
You were an
uncommon.
English teacher, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. But more than being an English teacher, I was kind of like being a butthead, right? And so by using the correct official name, you can do that. And so once in a while I get an email. They say you've got a spelling error on your website. It says an ukulele. It should be a ukulele. And then I get to give this really well, So. It is correct. Ukulele is correct, but you're absolutely, please don't do that unless you're trying to be a dork. Yeah. What? Uke. Uke. Yeah. We have a. It is uke. Yeah. Uke is not a thing, but you hear people say that too. We have somebody in our
Uke's spelled
orchestra who says it.
okay.
Yeah. Uke. Right. And there's the Uketown podcast that. What's his name up in? I was on it one time. And blanking on his name up in Fort Collins. Anyway, so when I say the legendary ukulele Barre-Chord finder, please say the legendary ukulele Barre-Chord finder when you're among people who understand, right? If you want to, be a nerd, that's okay. Yeah, before next word that starts with a vowel, right? I thought we use an. We do use an in front of ukulele, but if it was ukulele, it would be a ukulele, right? And so.
Or instead of a ukulele, I say a ukulele.
A ukulele, a ukulele, a ukulele.
Ugly.
We're probably off in the weeds here at this point, but it's not unimportant. It comes up. All right. Why did I put the little piano keyboard on here?
So we know where we are.
To help you remember, okay, right? So you really, as a musician, there's so few things that you have to memorize, but this is one of them. And they will tell you have to memorize everything, but you don't.
Did you ever, in any music theory course or history of music, have you ever heard why we have these two white keys without a
Yeah.
step?
I mean,
I guess
so
it is a half step.
the truth, the reason that it's set up this way is for your hands. It's set up specifically for your hands. That's why we have the keyboard set up the way it is for your hands. And they could have done this in any number of ways. They could have named them like John, Paul, George, and Ringo, right? They could have given them names that made sense, but instead, going up, we have one set of names. Coming back down, we have a different set of names, right?
Why did they start with C?
And why is the alphabet in music start with C? No, but honest to gosh, it's just, and I believe
These are questions that keep me up at night.
There are answers to all of these. You don't want to take the class that will give you those answers. Let's put it that way. But yeah, in music, the alphabet starts with C, and you just have to accept that. Okay. But take time when you have a minute.
Wait a minute though, because you're using only the first 7 letters of the alphabet.
Right, unless you're in Germany.
What are you using in German?
In Germany, they use the B and an H as well.
Oh, right.
And it depends, and I don't remember what it depends on, but they use both. So there you.
B flat is H.
Is B flat H? Is that what it is? Okay. So, yeah. Now obviously it repeats, right? And so every 12 notes you get to start fresh. But if you don't know this, you want to take time to go through, write in all of the white notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, all the way up, and then go through it and figure out your sharps from there and your flats from there. And you want to start that process of memorizing it. The good news is there's only 12. There's 88 keys on a keyboard, but it's just 12 that repeats over and over and over. It's really only 11, right, that repeat over and over and over and over, okay, because the 12th one starts C again. But you do want to take time to write those in and make sure you're starting to memorize those, because that will play a role, and it's going to play a role tonight, actually. Let's run through our shapes. The first shape is C major. Make your C major. Okay. Now, instead of using your ring finger like you've been taught, okay, put your pinky finger on. On baritone, you know what? You could go on baritone. Why don't you go with use the G shape, right? So you will be playing.
Use the F shape.
Well, no, because we're talking about shapes and the fact that it comes out of your instrument different. So I'd like you guys to use your G shape. So if you're on baritone, use a G shape, okay? And you'll just conflict with everybody else in the room, which is kind of something you're proud of doing anyway, right? All right, so now you're using, instead of your ring finger like God intended, you're using your pinky finger, okay? That's still a C chord, right? Nothing has changed other than the finger you're using. Now I want you to envision that your bar is on 0 here, okay? It's a C, okay? That's a C chord. Now let's move everybody up 1, okay? Okay, and if you're on baritone, you're now on G sharp, and if you're on ukulele, you're on C sharp. Okay. Now, sometimes we don't think about what chords are made up, but when you're playing a C chord, you're playing a G, a C, an E, and it's another C. Okay. Okay. When you put it on a bar and you move it up 1, now you're playing G sharp, C sharp, F. Okay. More probably known as E sharp, and another C sharp. So everything it's all relative. Everything still has the same relationship when you add the bar. So it still sounds fine, but you're now playing up a half a step is what they call it. Okay. Here's what's fun. The next one is important. Okay. Move it up. Put your bar on 2 and your pinky on 5. Okay. Okay, and again, if you're doing that, it's fine, right? But now notice, if this was C, and this is C sharp, then this has to be D, right? Now think about how you usually make a D chord. We usually make it with these 3 fingers crammed in here, right? When I occasionally I have a guy with gigantic fingers and gigantic hands, and he wants to learn how to play ukulele. Well, I don't waste time teaching him this D chord. It's not going to happen, right? There's no way for him to get his fingers in here. I just teach him bar chord, put a pinky there. Now he's got this D. Okay. The difference is, on this one you have a D on your top string, and when you use the open one, you have an A on the top string. Still part of the D chord, just a different feeling. So you have this D, or you have this D. Okay, you're going to end up using both in your playing of ukulele. So be thoughtful about, hey, here's C, here's C sharp, here's D. What happens after D? E flat or D sharp in this case. In this case, it'd be a D sharp, right? Because we're going up, you probably would think of it as a D sharp. Now in ukulele, we always think of D sharp as E flat, but it technically, I would say, is more correctly D sharp in this case because we're going up. Okay. Next one's going to be E. Okay. Those of you who are on ukulele, and we just finished playing Frere Jacques, When we did the baritone version, I made you do this E chord because their version of Barre-Chord is in the key of E. Okay? Back when I first started ukulele and the internet was just becoming a thing, you know, it was those days, right, before YouTube, people posted, how can I play E chord without playing this? This was so bad. They just wanted whatever they could do to get out of doing this, they were going to do. And the open version of E sounds ridiculous. So this is what somebody should have said, just learn your bar chords, people, right? But that's not what happened, right? It was, oh my God, we got to figure out something to not do a bar. Okay, so there's your E chord. Next one's what?
E sharp.
E sharp, more popularly known as?
F.
F, good, okay, okay. Will we ever use E sharp? Yes. When we start playing Chopin, when we start playing Chopin, you will find E sharps. Yeah, I'll never forget the first Chopin I played on piano, and there were E sharps in there. I just wanted to die a little bit. I'm like, why can't they make them F? Well, because it's not right, right? So there are E sharps in the world, but we're going to call it F because that would make a lot more sense. What comes after that? I know, right? What comes after F?
F sharp.
F sharp. And then the last one we'll do is on 7, which is G. Now, you could go up 2 more to A, but then your pinky ends up on 12, and that's one of the notes you get to play, and I don't like that note, right? So I almost never arrange above a G, a note above 10 if I can get away with it. And so that G shape here on maybe the highest you need to know. I wouldn't worry about knowing everything. I would just know that that's a C chord. Okay, that's the only thing you have to know. And then you're like, okay, I need an E chord up the neck. All right, so it's not going to be C. It's not going to be C sharp, D, D sharp. Oh, here's my E chord, right? So I only have to remember that a C chord is a movable bar. Okay, and then I can just count up to whatever I need to find. And oh, if I count all the way up to 7, it turns into a G chord. And that's what I need to know. So you don't need to know the names of everything everywhere they are. You just need to know that the C chord is movable. Okay? Okay? Next movable chord is A. Let's do an A chord. Make your A chord. Okay? Baritones, you are on E. Okay? This is one of the underused chords of the world. I love the key of A. It's so beautiful on ukulele. It's one of my very first musicals that I wrote was a space alien thing, and his very first song is in the key of A. And ever since I figured out, wait, this is here, 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 and that one's there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna write everything in A from now on, right? So A is really lovely. Okay, now. We got to get our bar available, right? Right now we can't. Our bar is busy holding down the chord, so that's not going to work. Let's trade it out for middle and ring. Okay? So you've got your A chord using middle and ring. Okay? Here comes your very favorite chord that you learned way back in the day. Okay? And you thought, this is why I'm quitting. Okay? Okay? Let's move it up 1. And then the whole world falls apart, right? Okay? You didn't know this because nobody told you this, and I certainly didn't bring it up. You're just playing an A chord. That's all you're doing. You're just putting the bar on there. Okay? That's just an A chord. Get over yourself, right? Okay. This is one of the harder ones because you gotta put a lot of pressure in fret 1 and then have that A there, right? So A, bar chord. All right, so that's B flat, right? Turns out that's pretty handy. Move it up 1, it's gonna be a B, okay? And then move it up 1 more. This I use all the time when I'm arranging. This is a C chord, right? Remember when you learned this C chord and you thought, that's it, this is my instrument, I'm out, I'm gonna learn no more things about C chord, that's the best thing ever, right? And then Gary comes along and says, oh, by the way, here's a C chord, let's do that one instead. And you're like, I don't know if I like Gary anymore. And then up here on 7 with the F shape, there's another C chord, right? Right? And I could take the 3 and the 7 here, that's a C chord, right? They're all over the place. There's all these goofy C chords you can make. But this one, it turns out, is pretty handy. Okay? Let's move it up to 5. What does it become? So A shape on 5, what do you got? You got a D chord, right? Right? That's pretty handy. That comes up. Okay? That's a shape that's going to come up. Okay? If you move it up 2 more, you get a new E chord. Okay. Okay. And then I think the last one that I've ever used, if I'm on 8, okay, if I'm on fret 8 with my bar, and I have the A shape in front, that's an F chord. Okay. And you can look on your little paper here. It tells you what fret and what the name of the chord is there. Again, you don't need to memorize those. You really don't. You just need to know A is a movable chord. Okay, A is a movable chord. And if I have my piano notes memorized, boom, 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 I can just count out and figure out. All right, on fret 8, there's my other F chord. Okay, super handy. Okay. There will come a time when you are arranging and you need to know some of these chords up the neck. I happen to have them memorized now, but I certainly didn't have them memorized when I first started arranging. And there are lovely apps that you can get that will do this for you, but it's just easiest and fastest if you'll know, hey, C is a movable chord, A is a movable chord, okay? Last major chord. By the way, when we're thinking about major, minor, seventh, and diminished, we should think about them in basically 4 categories, right? They're really quite different. Major chords, what do they generally sound like? Generally.
Happy.
They're generally happy, easy to get along with. Like you'd go out on a date with a C chord, right? I mean, it's really quite a lovely sound. Major chords, when you see just the letter, right? So C, you know it's C major because somebody told you that, or nobody told you that, and you just had to figure it out on your own. When you have a major chord, it's going to sound like music is supposed to sound. When you have a minor chord, what does it sound like?
Funeral.
It's kind of sad, a funeral, right? Sometimes they sound important, like something serious is going on, right? And so the minor chords tend to get, you know, if we were stereotyping chords, you know, which we do in these days, we can't stereotype people anymore, so we got to go out and do a good chord. Majors sound happy, minors sound sad. What do seventh chords sound like?
Getting ready to go somewhere.
To me, they're getting ready to go somewhere. To me, they sound nervous, like something's crazy, like and
Tension.
a lot of tension, right?
Yeah.
So if you hear this, and I stop and I walk away, you're going to lose your mind, right? You're waiting to hear, right? You're waiting for it to resolve. So seventh chords create tension. They help you tell a story in music. Oh my God. Okay, that's what seventh chords do, right? And so they create a lot of drama and tension. One time, years ago, I got in trouble for saying this. I said, yeah, seventh chords are like teenage girls. They're full of drama.
I bet you
Right?
did.
I said that, right? And I was told almost immediately by a parent in the room that teenage boys are way more drama, right? But yeah, so seventh chords have a lot of drama in them. Good drama, right? They're creating this cool story that's going to wrap up probably with a major chord. You can write in major keys, you can write in minor keys. You really can't write in seventh chords. They tried real hard during the Tin Pan Alley to have all sevenths in their chords, in their songs. But you still got to have somewhere where it's home base, and that will either be a major or a minor. And very often, if it's a happier song, it'll be centered around a major idea, and if it's a sadder song, it'll be centered around a minor idea. And then the last chords you're going to get are diminished. What are diminished goods for? Well, yeah, they're like seventh chords on steroids, really. I mean, that's a whole lot of tension, right? Right. And if I run it up the neck, right, that's when you tie her to the railroad track, or him these days, right? That's right. That's the railroad track song, right? That they're coming and they're going to run over somebody, and you're hoping the guy with the mustache and the white top hat. Turns out that guy's turns out you'd rather get hit by the train than deal with that guy. But so diminished chords are really, really full of tension. So we've learned a C major, A major, and your final major thought is F chord. Okay, again, normally we make F chord with index and middle. Let's do it with middle and ring. Okay. Now, so you've got your F chord, so we start the whole process again. If I move it up 1, it becomes an F sharp. Okay. By the way, that's the key that they wrote YMCA in. F sharp of all things, right? Why did they do that? They played it in E, but he had a capo. Okay. So that's how you know when either a really fine pianist or a guitarist with a capo wrote something, is when it's in a really weird key, right? Okay. That's F sharp. Okay. Next one comes up, G chord. Now take a moment just to take this in. Normally we make G chord like this, right? We make it index, middle, and ring, just this little triangle shape. What you're really playing is a bar chord on 2 with an F shape in front, right? And when you play that way, now you're also in charge of your 4th string, and you can make it long, you can make it short, right? But you're in charge of it. If you're playing an open chord, you're not in charge of it. It just rings for a while. Okay. Move it up to the 4th fret. You have an A chord. Okay, that's gonna be super handy. And then if you put it on 5, this has come up basically every single day since the pandemic, over and over. I talk about it all the time. You have a B flat. Your F shape on 5 is a B flat, and it's going to come up a lot in ukulele arrangements. It just is really, really handy to have this B flat here. Okay, and just move it up one more, and guess what you got? I mean, up to 7. I'm sorry, not one more, 2 more, up to 7. There's your C chord. Okay, there's a new C chord for you. Okay. All right. So again, you don't have to memorize everything there are. You do have to memorize what the piano notes are, what they're going up there. And then all you have to know is C is movable, F is movable, and A is movable. And then you have the ability to find your chords up the neck, no matter what you're playing. Okay, let's very quickly, it's already 7:50, so I want to go super fast through the next couple of pages of this. Okay, same exact process. How come this isn't scrolling? What's going on here? Let me share this with Oh no, the iPad is turned off. Hold on. We might have to cancel everything because I don't have my iPad. Come on, you can do this. Oh, it's very sad. Let me get restarted. Let me pull it up on this computer. Sorry, guys. The iPad freaked out. So we want to look at the minor keys next, and the reason why I'm carrying is because I want to do them in order for you. So the minor chord shapes, there's just 3 of them. Give me just a minute, I'll pull it up on this other computer. Scroll down. So orchestra, ukulele, patience. Here we go. All right. That's not what I needed. I need all right. So on page 2, we run through the minor chords. First one's A minor. So again, normally we make A minor with our middle finger, but now change out to your ring finger. Okay. Bar is on behind the nut, right? Okay. Let's move it up 2 to B minor. Okay, so you're on the 2nd fret with your A minor shape in front. B minor, it turns out, is really good friends with D. Okay, so it's cool because D is a bar chord on 2, as well as B minor is a bar chord on 2. So if I'm thinking about it, so you can see it makes sense if D, which is really a C, is somehow related to B minor, which is really A minor, right? Because they go together. It's all relative to one another. Let's move the B minor up one more, and you got a C minor there. Most of the time when we teach C minor, we just teach it as a partial bar, the bottom 3 strings, and leave the top string open, which is a lovely C minor, right? But if you put a bar and your ring finger up on 5, you get a much more stable C minor. It feels like it's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, and then I only do up to 5. Go up to 5, and you've got your D minor. I was arranging something today, and it was full of D minors up the neck, right, and so I had to use this shape because I want to use the one down here. Right? It sounds way better. It's really like my favorite chord. Oh, I want to use that. But when the note is an 8, there's no way you're going to reach it. So you put on a bar chord. Okay, and now you're all set. All right, next then, isn't this crazy? This thing completely shut down on me. All right, boo technology. All right, so A minor is a movable chord shape. D minor is also a movable chord shape, okay? But it's not what you necessarily think. So you put your D minor on, and then change it out to middle, ring, and pinky. Okay, and so this one gets a little bit more hard, little more challenging. Okay. Now, if I want to move this up, I can put a full bar behind it, but I usually don't. Right? It just feels like, well, I already got 3 strings covered up. Why don't I just put my index finger down here? Okay, so I rarely use a full bar on the D minor shape. Okay, and where that shows up, if you look at measure 35 of your worksheet, you have E minor. Okay, most of us don't know this, but our E minor is just a D minor moved up the neck. Okay, now usually when you make an E minor, you only use 3 fingers and you leave the top string open. Okay, which is lovely, right? But if you use the D minor shape, now you're also in charge of that 4th string. Okay, so this shape has come up very often when I needed a G minor. Okay, I got on 5. This has come up quite a bit. The other cool thing about G minor with the D minor shape at 5 is that you can either leave the top string open. You still get this really wonky G minor, which I love. Or you can use the D minor shape, and it sounds like it's supposed to. Okay. So that one comes up. So D minor is movable. The next one on your sheet is F minor, right? And this is the scary chord on ukulele. So make your F minor first. Okay. If you want to write a scary song, you write it in F minor on ukulele. It's scary, I think. Okay. Now this one's a little wanky too, because you're still going to use your pinky. And you're going to use your middle and ring fingers. And then you're going to slide this up and put your index finger on. I wouldn't use a bar on this one. I would just use your index finger on the 3rd string. So you can see on your worksheet at measure 42, F sharp minor, right? Yeah. Not particularly easy. You don't see this a ton in my arrangements. There are times when I have to use it. Like if you get pretty far up the neck, it gets kind of, the minor chords up the neck get where they feel like they're never where you want them to be. So you'll end up using this shape. Okay, and it goes all the way up. Okay, again, same process. Just know the bottom one's F minor, and they're going to go up. All right, that's your minor. That's your minor shapes. Okay, the D minor comes up a lot, and the A minor comes a lot. The F minor not quite so much. Now let's go grab. I'm going to close this window. Let's go grab. Here's what's fun about, so you've now learned 6 of the 9, right? Okay. At the bottom of there, I put the E diminished, right? Okay. Take a look at your diminished shapes. They're all identical. They're all identical. So once you've learned one diminished shape, you've learned all diminished shapes. And you will often see, a lot of times when I'm online and I'm doing a lesson and there's a diminished shape and we're working on transposing, I'm like, I don't know, it's either here, or here. I don't know where it is. I just know if I fish around till it sounds fine, and that's where it is, right? So again, you don't need to memorize which diminished shapes are where and what they sound like and all that. You just need to know they're all the same. You go around until you find one that makes sense to you, okay? I wish that you never had to deal with diminished shapes, but you guys are playing an instrument that became popular during the Tin Pan Alley era. And this thing is a diminished machine, and they were diminished machine makers back in those days. And so you're going to run into diminished chords in all kinds of music from the 20s and 30s. It's going to be part of what you need to know. So that's why it's on this sheet. I played piano forever. I don't know if I ever played a diminished chord ever, right? But I know that the minute I picked up ukulele, I was playing them all the time, and it's because of Tin Pan Alley, okay? All right. Last set of chords on your sheet that are important are your 7th chords, okay? And that's where we talked about, these are chords that on their own, they don't really stand up. They're not, you don't find them just hanging out in the wild, right? They're always hanging around a major chord. They're always trying to be friends with a minor chord. They're just trying to always be with somebody else. And that's because they create the tension to be resolved. A7, take a moment to think that one through. Okay, that's D major's best friend is A7. Okay, let's change out to a middle finger. Okay, and then same process. You run it up the neck. If you have it on a fret on the first fret, it's B flat. Okay, B7, and then on 3 you got a really lovely C7, right? Okay, D7 comes up quite a bit. There's one on 5. Okay, and the last one I think I've ever used is this shape is up on 7. That's your E7. You'll use E7 a lot to get back to A minor. It's very, very handy for getting back to A minor. All right, so A7 is movable. C7 is also movable. And you learned C7 hopefully when you went to Doug's Strum Along down at Swallow Hill. You hear C7, right? Doesn't mean you're like, okay, I prefer C major, right? It sounds much better, but you just run into C7. And then you don't run into it again until you get to D7 up there on the 2nd fret, right? Right? And that one comes up all the time when you're in Strum Along, this D7. And you find out eventually, wait, that's the hard D7. There's an easy one where it's just the 2 open ones, okay? I use both of them. In Happy Birthday, for example, most of Happy Birthday, we use the Barre-Chord shape, okay? But then on the very last one, all right, it's the opposite of that. You use the open one on almost all of them, and then the last one, you use the D7, I think. Do the closed one, but you need to know both. But in any event, if you don't remember this D7, you know C7, and you know it'll go right up the neck. I've used the one on 5 pretty regularly, this F7. I've used that quite often. And the one on 7 is crazy. That's a G7 up there. And heck yeah, you're going to use that because that's going to be the best friend of C major. And so that one's going to be coming up in here. Okay? The last one that's kind of hard, and I only bring it up because you will use this in Tin Pan Alley music. It's inescapable that you're going to be using an A7 on the 5th fret. You're going to be doing it. It's going to happen. And so how you do that, you make your E7 with the wrong fingers, right? Middle, ring, and pinky. That's your E7. And then rather than using a full bar here, just put your index finger lagging 1 fret on the 2nd string. Okay, E7, that's an F7 on 1. It's on 3, it's a G7. I've used that some, okay? But I use it on 5 all the time, okay? So just know that's coming up. In fact, I think it was the arrangement I was doing this weekend had that exact chord in there. And I was like, I wish I could get rid of that, and I try like heck to get rid of anything that we don't absolutely have to have. And there was no way to get rid of it, so it shows up. So that's your movable chords. Okay, it kind of hurts your head a little bit when you first attack it, but the bottom line here is you have 3 major chords that move up the neck. You have 3 minor chords that move up the neck, and you have 3 7th chords that move up the neck. That's 95% of the chords you will ever play. Right? Occasionally you're going to toss in a diminished chord because you're ukulele player. But that will cover 90%. Now, there are jazz chords and there are wonky kind of other chords you will run into, especially being instrumentalists, and you'll end up getting those, and it'll be a thing that we have to deal with when those come up. But they don't come up enough to really turn them into their own activity. All right, let's talk spaghetti on top of spaghetti. Okay, so grab your on top of spaghettis. I gotta get you guys out of here in about 15 minutes, so we gotta go fast. Let me hear your C chords, please. Okay, grab any C chord that you want. Probably grab the open one, right? Okay, let me hear your F chords, please. Okay, and let me hear your G chords. And let me hear your G7s. Okay. Now notice, here's G chord. As I said, it's a major chord. You'd go out on a date with G chords, right? It's lovely. Okay. G7 is what the date turns into, right? Right. G7 is desperate to resolve into something else. Okay. So don't trust the 7th chord. It's trying not to be a 7th chord. All right. You guys can sing. Okay. Let's sing this. Okay, just the first verse. Okay, don't do all 5 verses. We'll die.
Just do chords.
Just chords. Okay, why do we do this? Why do we start there? Because we're ukulele players. You always start with chords.
You
Here
know
we
the
go.
song.
Yeah, on every song, right? You go everywhere. They're gonna play chords. Here we go. 1, 2. On top of spaghetti. 1, 2. All covered with cheese. I lost my poor meatball when somebody sees. All right, so those chords work, right? What if I want to play it in D? Okay, so we have to think about it.
Go up a fret.
You go up 2 frets.
2.
Okay, because the next fret up, if I'm in C and I want to go to D, I got to go past C sharp to D.
Oh.
C sharp is what messed you up there. So let's put a bar on 2. Okay. Now make your C chord in front of that bar.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Don't have to learn anything new. Just put a C chord in front of the bar. How about that? 1, 2. On top of spa. Don't move the bar. Put your F shape in front of it. Go. D, 2, 3, 1, 2. All covered with. Back to your C shape. 1, 2. I lost my chord. G chord. How are you going to do that? Right? F shape, but move it up to 4. Move it up to 4, okay, because you were playing your F shape on 2. Now just move it up to 4. Now you have a G sharp, and play meatball. Just play a regular G here, 3. When somebody, bar on 2, pinky on 5, me. All right, let's do it without stopping. So you've got your D chord, C shape on 2. You have your F chord, which is now a G chord, F shape on 2, and then to get to G, just slide up 2 from the F shape, or from your what is now the G, just slide up 2 to the A. So now we're playing D, G, and A. Okay, let's try it. 1, 2. On top of spaghetti. 2, 3, 1, 2. All covered with cheese. 2, 3, 1, 2. I lost my poor meatball when somebody's feet. Okay, so now we've learned how to play this in a different key just by using bar chords. Okay? Right, it's not going to go that great the first time through, right? You're learning a new skill. Kari's like, huh. Right? What if I want to play it in F? What if I wanted to play it in F? I'm on 5 now. Okay?
Well, you're on 5.
Okay? I don't know what a baritone.
I don't
A
worry.
baritone, who knows where you are? Right? Well, a baritone, you're down here, right down here on F, right? Okay? So if I'm on F, I can play it that way too. On 1, 2. On top of spa, F shape in front, Getty. 1, 2, all covered with cheese. 2, 3, 1, 2. I lost my poor. Now I gotta go up to 7, F shape in front, meatball. When somebody sneezes. Okay? Now I've used the same exact chords, but I've just put the bar somewhere different. Okay? Now, on ukulele, the problem is things start to get pretty high pretty fast up here, right? So if you're a singer, obviously you're going to want to try to play more open chords. But if you had to, you could now transpose the song on the spot without thinking about it. Let's go back to the key of C. Okay? Let's play the melody. Baritones, you're going to use the top of the the guitar line, right? You're going to use those top notes to get you the guitar, the baritone melody out. Ukulele players, you're going to use the top note of the ukulele line. You don't need to play tough uke yet. Okay, just play the melody. Okay, Diane, do you have your harmonica?
Yeah.
Get it out. Okay, not yet. Okay.
Please.
Well, get it ready. Get it ready. Okay, stop playing ukulele. We gotta have a harmonica player. All right, so we're gonna be playing just the melody. Don't add chords yet. 1, 2. 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2. 2, 3. 1, 2. 2, 3. 2, 3. Okay. All right. Got a little weird there at the end. Diane's gonna fix that for us. Okay. Okay.
Got thrown
okay.
by the
Okay.
filling notes.
You get messed up by the fill-in notes,
Yeah.
right? Right. The fill-in notes are not meant for melody players. They're not meant for melody players. That's why you normally, when I give you a piece of sheet music, it just has one line that says ukulele and it's just the melody and nothing else, right? There's no fill-in notes there. It's to get you where you can play melody. But when there's fill-in notes, that happens when we're doing arranging, okay? Which all of you will end up doing at some point in your life. You're going to decide, I must have random song from 1972 that was really important to you when you were in high school. You're going to arrange that for yourself on ukulele, and you're going to add in decorative notes at that point. Because otherwise, if you get on top of spaghetti and then you don't do anything else there, your ukulele stops playing, and you're like, your audience is like, well, is the song done, or are they gonna keep going, or what? That's why you need fill-in notes, okay? And I love that phrase, fill-in notes, right? I like to call them decorative notes or just extra notes. All right, now, any way you want to play chords, play the melody, play the tough ukulele, play your baritones using the guitar line, right? That's in and of itself is a skill you want to get better at, because it's super cool that all guitar music is available for you to play on baritone ukulele. All of it. And there's way more of it than anything else out there in terms of tablature. Okay, I'm going to play the ukulele line. I'm going to play the tablature. Diane is going to play melody on harmonica. You guys are going to play whatever you want. If you're on straight chords, you can sing, right? You can toss in your beautiful voices, and it'll sound amazing. Let's play a couple of times through. Okay, so let's play the first couple of first couple of lines. Let's see what happens. All right. 1, 2. Again, go to the top. 2. I don't know how you sounded at home, but we killed it here. Now the fun part about that, right? Nobody knew what anybody was going to play, right? You just played to your strengths, and we had this lovely instant orchestra. When I teach this down at Colorado, what is that, Colorado Music Educators thing, and I say we're going to do an instant orchestra. It's almost like magic, because all those are trained teachers, right? And so they're already working at a high level. Just they're looking at the sheet music, going, "I can figure all this out." But they take this back to their classrooms, and then they don't have to do anything and hand this out, and every kid in the room can do whatever their strength is, and it's just magical. And they don't have to. We don't have to have expensive or fancy instruments. We have ukuleles and a harmonica, and Diane's harmonica, right? And the more voicings that you can get in, we have some people singing, some people baritones playing, some ukuleles playing, harmonica tossed in there. You can grab a glockenspiel out of the cheap set, you know, the little one that the kids play on. You can use those. And all of a sudden, we just sound amazing. Now, next week, by the way, try On Top of Spaghetti in several different keys when you get home using Barre-Chords. Now, you won't do it, but you should, right? Right? Try it in a key of the A. Try it in whatever keys you can think of, and use Barre-Chords as practice. Barre-Chords are you're gonna learn your Barre-Chords from playing my arrangements, right? Mostly, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have at least a conceptual understanding of where I'm getting them from, so that it makes your life a little easier. And I do think it's a valuable exercise to take the legendary Barre-Chord worksheet and just go and run through them a few times, right?
Yeah, when you get those bar chords down, you can play any.
Once you have your Barre-Chords down, fundamentally, you are done, right? You're no longer going to be working at learning the instrument. Once you have your Barre-Chords in place, you have learned what you need to know. Now, you're in the process of what stories am I going to sell? How am I going to tell that story? It changes when I get more advanced students in the
Well, then how much fruit
studio. We don't talk about how do you make an A chord, right? We talk about like, what did you mean to do there? Why are you meaning to do that? That's what you talk about. I do want to mention next week something has come up where I'm not going to be able to do this. Okay, so I'm going to send you. I already have an email almost ready to come out to you on arranging, and then I forget what we were going to do next week, but it will turn into an email as well, and then we will touch base the following week. So no Summer Institute next week. Okay, so it came up all of a sudden, and I apologize. But so we won't meet next week. I will get you an email reminding you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here, guys. It really makes it so much more exciting to hear it actually happening. I've spent a lot of time teaching to this computer, and it turns out I don't know what you're playing when you're at your house. So thank you all for being here. We'll see you soon. Have a wonderful night, and thank you guys for being here. And we will call it good. Yay!
Thanks, Gary.
Bar. So Gary, when's your workshop open?
So you have to make an appointment.